Getting meals delivered to you after having a baby is one of those awesome perks to the postpartum life. However, it can be hard to decide what to take a new mom when there are so many different diets out there, so many different tastes, and it can feel like more of a burden than a joy to create a gift for a mom. So this is a tutorial for a homemade chicken soup that can be tweaked and made your own, but this is one of the most nutritious gifts that you can give to a new mom. I start with homemade chicken stock. I had 2 separate whole chickens here. One was a rotisserie one from the store. Those are pretty easy to get a hold of. The other was a organic free-range one that I had cooked in the crock pot for a separate meal. I separated all the meat from the bones, cartilage, and other goodies. All the skin, cartilage, and bones went into my stock pot, and the meat got separated out. You definitely want to do this with clean hands too. And be careful that you're not getting any little chunks of cartilage or other stuff in with the meat. You really want to sift it out well. Now, some people might think this is a lot of work, and what's the point when you can just buy boxed or canned chicken stock? I believe that when you're making it from scratch, you know exactly what's in it. You know exactly how nutritious it is, how well it was prepared, and it actually doesn't take that long to make. The prep time is 10 to 15 minutes, depending how quickly you can debone the chicken. But you do want a couple hours for it to simmer. So this is something to be done when you have a day off, when you're home for the whole day and have time to put into it. So once the chicken's in, we're going to get the rest of the ingredients. I like to use celery, carrots, onions, and fresh herbs. I get the herbs from my garden. Oh, not that hair. Don't put that in there. I like sage, thyme, tarragon, oregano. Rosemary can be a little strong for a new mom, just depends on her taste. I put the herbs in whole, but if you're doing dried herbs, you could put them like in a fillable tea bag or a little mesh bag to keep them together. So celery goes in whole. You don't need to like pull off the ends or whatever. I save the rest to go in the soup. Carrots, just dump in a whole bag of baby carrots that I randomly got at church from a display lesson a couple weeks ago. And then as far as the onion, I just cut a whole onion in half. You don't need to peel it. You don't need to pull anything off of it, just as long as it's clean, and stick the onion in there. I sometimes do a whole onion. This time I only had 1 onion at home, so I put half in the stock in quarters and save the other half to go in the actual soup. So this is what it looks like, just a bunch of stuff in there. You're going to boil it first before you bring it to a simmer, just to kind of get it going and melding together. Like I said, give it a couple hours. Here's me showing you what a mason jar looks like. I use either pints or quarts to deliver them in. Once it's been thoroughly cooked, I think I let this one go, 4 or 5 hours. The less time you do it, the less flavor you're going to have. The more time, the more flavor. But you probably do get to a point where it's a little too concentrated, where things are boiled to a pulp. So a couple hours at least. Again, this depends on how much time you have, but this is what all that gunk looks like. It's not gunk. Stuff looks like at the bottom of the pot. I'm draining that well, letting it sit a few minutes. And then your stock should look like this. Nice full color, not any floaties in it. Moving on to prepping the veggies to go in. I like to get these in first because they take some time to cook. Again, doing the carrots, onion, celery, but you can tweak this for any diet. If someone's low carb, don't put the carrots in. I think every mom needs good carbs and good amounts of protein after. So I'm going to put these in. I like to brown them, putting them in my cast iron pan with a little bit of butter. I think it just adds to the flavor before you stick them in, but you can put these right into the pot if you want to. Now, as far as what veggies to put in, it doesn't just have to be carrots, celery, onions. You can do mushrooms, leeks. I used zucchini and yellow squash from my garden in this one as well. But as you're cutting, just keep in mind that you want to keep them uniform pieces. I mean, you don't have to be expert at this. I'm definitely not. Just nice little bite-sized pieces. Think about what a good spoonful is going to look like once these are cooked and what you would want to take as a bite in the soup. Something enough to give it substance and texture, but not so huge that it's becoming a hindrance. So here's that half an onion. I'm actually going to peel it this time. You don't actually want onion peel in the soup, but I don't know. Onions just give it so much flavor. I feel like it's just one of those necessary things. You could do garlic in it as well. I do that sometimes just to develop that flavor profile. And then you want to salt these veggies pretty well. I forgot to mention to put salt in the stock too. Don't be afraid of the salt. Don't overdo it either. Just taste as you go. Moms actually need a good level of sodium after a birth. Here's the veggies in the pan. Gonna brown these up. Get them just developed in that flavor. And then put them in the pot. Oh, I guess I'm putting the chicken in first. Who knows what's happening? I like to actually put the veggies in first. Apparently that's not what I did here, but this chicken's all completely cooked, so it doesn't really need to cook more. The veggies need to cook, so I usually get those in first, let them have a little time, and then put the chicken in. Sorry if that's confusing. I don't think it makes a huge deal either, though. Like, the chicken's not going to dry out if you're cooking it in there. So let's take a minute to talk about the health benefits of chicken soup. You know that you like to have it when you are sick, but is there actually any benefit to having it? I did a little bit of research, found some actual scientific studies done that show that chicken soup does have properties that can help lower inflammation. You have all that good protein. You have that collagen from that bone broth when you're making it fresh. There are vitamins and minerals that help healing in the veggies you're sticking in. Just overall, it is such a good, nutritious, well balanced with your carbs, proteins, and fats. It also is just comforting, and I think mentally and emotionally comforting as well. So that's another reason I like to do the soup. So as far as adding the starch or the carbs, potatoes are a really great option for people that are grain-free or gluten-free. If you're doing potatoes, you want to brown them and put them in with the veggies. I'm doing noodles in this one, so I'm putting the noodles in very last and cooking them very al dente. So as they continue to absorb moisture, they're not getting mushy. I'm using my canning stuff here to fill the jars, just makes it a little easier. I think jars are just such a practical and healthier option to give the soup in, and they look nice too. So fill it up, not all the way to the top, but enough. Let them cool down a little bit though before you put lids on, just so things don't get too tight. But there you go. Chicken soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken potato soup, however you want to do it. And this doesn't just have to be for a new mom. This could be for any friend that is feeling sick or maybe just a little run down or even depressed. Anyone loves chicken soup. It is so versatile. So take it, make it your own. Just practice a little. Try it a time or two before you're giving it away. And maybe best of all, when you make enough, you have a meal for your family too. So here you go, chicken soup.